Okay, hello and welcome to the interview prep and practice YouTube video from the Career Center. Today we're going to be going over methods and strategies to help you improve your interview skills so that you can ace your next interview. So these are just the two locations that we have for the Career Center. We're located in Allendale, 206 Student Services, and then downtown 101B DeVos. So if you guys are interested in hitting up the Career Center and doing an actual appointment or a one-on-one simulated interview, that would be highly recommended and very, very beneficial. So please come visit us. For preparation for an interview, these are some of the things that you want to do pre-hand that don't necessarily have to do with what you're going to be saying verbally, but they'll still affect it at the same time. So obviously, if you're going to any sort of job interview, you want to make sure that you have read that job description through and through. You've researched the company. You maybe have even went to LinkedIn and understood and known a little more about people who work for the company. So know as much as you can know. Social media platforms are also a really good way to do it. Not all companies have prominent social media platforms, but obviously if you're applying for somewhere that's a really large company, this isn't really difficult to find because they have social media platforms all over the place. Okay, for our first activity, we're going to do the how do I prepare activity. And essentially, your instructor, or whoever's showing this video to you, is going to pause the video and you're going to take about 2 to 5 minutes to just research a job in the field that you are interested in or in the field that you're going in that's related to your major. And then just look through that description and really read the description. A lot of people will just look at a job description and they'll apply and they'll put their resume and cover letter, but they won't really go in detail with the job description. So pause the video, take 2 to 5 minutes, and make sure you go over that job description. All right, when it comes to dressing up for the interview, these are some basic kind of standard things on how to dress, colors. There are a lot of other things online too, but usually, business casual, business professional, there are two sides to it. It just kind of depends on where you're interviewing and who you're interviewing with. So, obviously, don't overdress, don't underdress, and it's okay to ask. This is something that's really important when it comes to interviews. It's okay to ask questions. And pre-hand, you can email them, or if you're on the phone with the person, make sure that you know what kind of interview this is and know how to dress before you're going in. All right, this is more information on preparation. So, asking, as I mentioned previously, directly, how do I prepare, right? Knowing when to arrive, where to park. All these are really little important things that you might not be thinking of, but they'll help you so that you won't be late and so that you'll show up on time. So, bring a pen and a paper, have a bag, a water bottle can be really, really good for nerves. If you're just a little nervous during the interview and you want to take a sip of water to calm yourself down, this is a really good idea. And hype yourself up. This is huge. We talk about it all the time in Career Center, but you want to do something that gets you excited before the interview. For me personally, I will just listen to some rap music or something that gets me excited or that makes me want to dance, just something fun. Everybody's going to be different. You might do some push-ups or some jumping jacks, but do something that you like for a few minutes that will kind of lower your anxiety a little bit and get you ready for the interview. Obviously, you do this before you get to the actual interview place. Don't do this in front of people, but do this in your car, do this at your house before you're going to the interview. Okay, another preparation activity. This one's really fun. So you're going to do this with your partner and basically pause the video and whoever is next to you will be your partner. So find a partner next to you and have your instructor pause the video and for about 2 to 5 minutes have a short conversation on two things. So tell your partner what maybe your go-to dress up would be for an interview that you want to go to, what's something maybe that you have in your closet that you're excited to wear, and then secondly, what's something that you would do to hype yourself up? So tell your partner something, as I said, whether it's music or walking or going on a little hike, something to ease the tension a little bit and make you feel a little bit more comfortable. All right, I hope that activity went well. These are just some things that interviewers and employers are going to be looking for. So, obviously, they want you to be thoughtful and genuine. Likability is obvious. Reasoning and evidence, examples of experiences that you've had, have prepared questions, and do your research. So, we talked about research. Having prepared questions is very, very important because if you've done your research, these two, it's kind of like you know, hitting two birds with one stone, right? So if you have that research done, it's going to be easier to come up with those questions. So have some thoughtful questions ready. And for that thoughtfulness piece, it's really good to just take your time. A lot of times in interviews, people get nervous and everybody gets nervous. I get nervous, but a lot of times it's good to just pause, right? Breathe a little bit. They ask you the question, just take a few seconds to think about it. That will show them that you're being genuine and that you're being thoughtful and you're actually trying to present and show the best possible answer that you can. So make sure to do that because it will go a long way. Okay, I have a picture of LeBron James because I'm a really big LeBron James fan, but these are just things to be mindful of for your own confidence internally and externally. And LeBron James is a very confident person, and he's the greatest basketball player of all time. So I thought he'd be a good person to have a picture of. But you can see his confident body language in this photo. And I know it's kind of in a humorous way, but it is also serious. I mean, for me, that's one of my hype up things is I will personally watch videos of basketball players like LeBron James or anybody that I like to just make me feel confident. So obviously, you want to use professional vocabulary. You want to make sure that you're listening. You want your eye contact to be on point. Your posture is huge, right? Posture says everything. Make sure that your shoulders are back, your head is up, and you're facing straight forward. Your verbal communication, your nonverbal communication, and just most importantly, your internal confidence. A lot of these things, it's really easy to overthink them. And you want to make sure that you're working on your own internal confidence. When you're internally confident, these things are going to be really easy and they're just going to come naturally. So don't overthink them. But again, you might like sports a lot. You might like athletics. That's another way to do it. You can watch some videos or some basketball videos or some hoops. That might help you out. All right, these are things to avoid. Obviously, don't be late. A lot of times employers even would might want you to be 5-10 minutes early, so try to be early. I think 15-20 minutes is a little bit too much, but even 5 to 10 minutes early, it's just a really good look and it's very, very positive. Don't chew gum. Try to, no pun intended, but fill out your fillers. Don't use them. I probably use them. They're very, very common. Like so. You've probably heard some of them in this video. It's normal. But a lot of times, if you record yourself talking or practicing the interview, this is a really good way to see how many fillers you're using because it's not very evident when you're talking, because when you're talking, you're not thinking about it too much, but it's a good thing to think about because you might be subconsciously doing it. Obviously, you want to be enthusiastic, you want to be energetic. Don't be too short with your responses, but also don't be too long with your responses. So you don't want to be rambling, but you don't want to just give quick answers. And then obviously, you want to try to be unique. So don't be too common or basic with what you're saying. Make sure everything is genuine and true to yourself. All right, let's do another activity. So you have your partner who's next to you, to the right of you or to the left of you. But what you're going to do is your instructor is going to pause the video. Again, 2 to 5 minutes. Talk about your weaknesses. Just be vulnerable, be transparent. Again, some of the ones that we talked about, like maybe you're maybe it's hard for you to be on time, right? That's something that could be a weakness. Maybe it's something you need to work on. Maybe you use too much or use like too much or something somebody has told you. So be vulnerable with your partner. Talk about certain things that you feel are your weaknesses when it comes to interviews, or just maybe it's public speaking or nerves or confidence, whatever it is. Talk about it and then maybe talk about a solution, right? Something that you can do to improve yourself or ways that you guys can improve your interview skills within these weaknesses. So pause the video and just take 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, this is a very, very important piece to interviews. This is called the STAR method. So I'm going to talk about a couple different types of questions or questions that you might receive just to give you an idea of how to react to them, because a lot of an interview is just about knowing your stories, knowing what you want to talk about, and knowing how to put it together. That's the really important piece. You have the experience, you have the stories. You were picked for that interview for a reason. It's just about applying it. So, the STAR method is really, really helpful. Essentially, what this is it's a way to structure a behavioral based question. So, a behavioral based question is something that's just asking you about a time where something happened. It could be, you know, tell me about a time when you had to work on a project, or tell me about a time where you had to work with a group of people that you didn't know, or tell me about a time where you had to deliver something in a very short period of time and structure a model or a presentation for a company. So this can be anything. And how we set this up is situation, task, action, result, and reflection. So the situation is just the overall piece, overall idea of what's happening. The task is what you're trying to do. The action are the steps that you took to actually complete it. The result is what came out of this, and then the reflection is kind of, what did you learn? How did you connect to this situation? What were your takeaways from it, essentially? So this takes practice. This doesn't just happen overnight. You're not just going to be great with the STAR method, but even going online and just looking up like 30 behavioral based questions, we will have a sheet that your instructor has that has a link to that. So we'll have like behavioral based questions and links to our website and resources to help you practice the STAR method. So it's not going to be perfect off the bat, but we're going to have a slide right here to just practice with some examples for behavioral based questions. Try to apply this. So talk about the situation, discuss what you're trying to accomplish, talk about those specific action steps, what actually came of it, right? Like how many people were helped, what grade did you get on the project, did your team win? This could be anything, right? And then reflect on it. Okay, so turn to your partner, ask a STAR question. Again, situation, task, action, result, plus the reflection piece. These are a few tell me about yourself, behavioral based questions that are really, really good for applying the STAR method. So pause the video, take 2 to 5 minutes, ask your partner any of these questions, and just kind of go through it. Okay, another really, really common question is the tell me about yourself question. This one is so hard because it's so broad. So, one thing that we do in the Career Center that really simplifies this a lot are these three simple pointers, which are the past, present, and future method. And essentially, you want to talk about your journey and just discuss how it led you to whatever this job is or whatever this interview program is, talking about that journey. So, for example, with this past, present, future model, it makes it simple so that you know what to talk about. So, if somebody asks you, tell me about yourself. Tell them about your past. Maybe tell them about some things you were involved in high school. Tell them some certain classes that you were really passionate about, certain hobbies that you ended up taking out. What are you doing right now, right? Maybe you're pursuing a degree. Maybe you are involved in a club. Maybe you're the president or the vice president of a campus club, or you're an athlete, or anything, or you're in the some sort of diversity club, anything that relates to you as a person and what you're doing right now. And then the future piece is a good opportunity to kind of talk about where you see yourself fitting in with the position or the job that you're interviewing in, and talk about where you want to go, what your goals are, what your aspirations are. Again, common things with this one. You don't want to talk too much, you don't want to talk too little, but you want to give a good, like, 2 minute synopsis almost of who you are, what you're about, show your personality, right? Be enthusiastic, be personable, and just be yourself with this question. So don't overthink it. Past, present, future really helps with that. All right, and from an investigative standpoint, we're gonna turn to our partners and just ask them, tell me about yourself. So again, pause the video, take about 2 to 5 minutes, tell your partner, ask your partner, tell me about yourself, answer the question, and then give each other feedback. All right, these are just some quick tips on following up afterwards. So, you can ask in the interview, like, what are the follow-up steps for hiring, or when are you guys going to reach out to me, whatever it may be. This is just a good way to understand when they're going to get back to you. I like doing this just because sometimes I get a little anxious on, like, oh, are they going to get back to me? Are they not? Am I going to know on this specific day? So, this is just a really, really helpful way to know whether how the hiring process is going to be. So don't hesitate to ask. It's okay to send like a thank you note or a little email, and it's okay to follow up in around a week. So don't follow up like the next day, but if it's been like a week or a week and a half, feel free to just be like, hi, just checking in. Don't take it personally. They're probably really busy, and they probably have a lot of other people and candidates that they're looking through. Okay, and these are a few of our final slides. These are just some common questions, like general basic questions, but I would definitely, again, come to the Career Center. These are good ways to like flesh out these questions and get comfortable with talking about them in your own environment. And then I would just pause this video if you're the instructor, allow your students to just take a little snapshot or a little picture of this slide just to give them an idea of our basic interview questions so that they can practice. All right, so the final steps are obviously, please, please, please come visit us over at the Career Center. And then our website on Career Center has a lot of resources for interview help, resume help, cover letter help, anything that you're really looking for when it comes to applying and networking. Make sure you're using LinkedIn, make sure that you're scouting out jobs as much as you can. It's a process, right? You're not going to get the dream job by doing one Google search. It's going to take time, and it's going to take patience, and of course, practice. When it comes to interviews, that's the biggest thing. If you can find a little room for yourself to practice in. One thing I even recommend to people, I would do when I had in my undergrad, I would actually reserve those study rooms at the library, and you can do that on the website, and you can just have your own little study room so that you can practice talking to yourself with the interview without being embarrassed if somebody's looking at you or anything of that nature. So practice, visit the Career Center, and I hope this was a helpful video in improving your interview.